As the race to the White House heats up, states across the country are now racing to pass laws to ban the use of AI-generated materials in elections. Thanks for joining us. I'm Paul Folger.
And I'm Lindsey Brown. Officials are specifically targeting deepfakes. The images or videos can depict events that never happened or display people saying things they never said. Last year, Minnesota became one of the first states to pass a law addressing this emerging threat.
But as investigative reporter Kirsten Swanson found, not everybody is convinced it will help.
As Minnesotans made their way to the polls on Super Tuesday, choosing their party's presidential pick, voters are forced to combat a new reality.
I think it's a threat. It does concern me.
I grew up in the age of digital technology, but some people didn't.
The rise of artificial intelligence programs is creating challenges around conducting elections. Officials worry that AI-generated material can be used to spread disinformation about candidates or the voting process. We've already seen examples of it this political cycle. Most notably, a robocall that appeared to be an AI-generated voice of President Biden.
It's important that you save your vote for the November election.
The deepfake recording, which encouraged people not to vote, went out in New Hampshire days before the state's primary. If that had happened in Minnesota, prosecutors could have a case under a new law that took effect last year.
Depending on how that was created and disseminated, that could be a violation of this law.
Senator Erin Maye Quade sponsored the bill that now makes it a crime to knowingly disseminate a deep fake within 90 days of an election.
We wanted to get ahead of the curve.
It's a sentiment shared by dozens of other state legislatures. 5 investigates found these 6 states already have laws on the books regulating deepfakes in elections. And as of March 1st, 36 others are following suit with proposed legislation.
We think it's important that when we make laws around elections, we do it proactively and not reactively.
But cybersecurity experts like Hani Farid are skeptical of the wave of legislation.
I think it's going to be very difficult because it's the internet.
Farid is a professor of computer science at the University of California, Berkeley, who specializes in detecting deepfakes.
Even the practical application of this, you've written a state law, but if the actor is outside of your state, you have very little recourse at this point, assuming that you can actually find them, by the way.
At this moment, are these laws effective?
I mean, it's an interesting question. It's hard to answer. My sense is that this is not really going to help. I don't think it's going to hurt, but I don't think it's really going to tackle the problem of political disinformation.
Farid says look at California's law, enacted in 2019. 2 years ago, a legislative research report found scant evidence that the law has effectively deterred deepfakes from influencing elections. And in Minnesota, state court data revealed no one has been charged since it went into effect.
We wanted to at least have that ability should a situation arise where someone could utilize the statute.
But realistically, do you expect prosecutors to go after people for this?
You would have to ask prosecutors. It is, it's a criminal code that exists and it is a tool in their toolbox.
Proceed with your presentation.
This year, Maye Quade is looking to sharpen that tool. The senator introduced updated language that would disqualify a candidate for running for or holding office if they're found to have violated the law. A provision some of her colleagues are pushing back against.
We haven't had an election cycle yet since we passed the last law.
I would prefer that we leave the good bipartisan law that we passed last year as it is, let it get tested.
Is it too soon to be making changes?
If we were making substantive changes, I would absolutely understand the concern, but really this is what I would call a clarification, and I want this to be proactive so we have strong rules before we get to an election, before we have a problem.
Senator Maye Quade's bill passed the Senate Elections Committee. It will now go to the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee. I checked again today. That hearing has yet to be scheduled this legislative session.
No schedule for it at all right now. So is there any federal law that addresses the issues?
There is not. There are several proposals right now running through Congress. In fact, Senator Amy Klobuchar actually sponsors one of those bills that would address the use of deepfakes in elections. But everybody we talked to for this story said that the hardest part about this is that the federal government really needs to regulate it. When states pass their own restrictions, you end up with a patchwork of laws that are all slightly different from each other. For example, Minnesota's is a criminal statute. California's is not.
And man,
Yeah, well, something tells me after November and the election, we'll be hearing a lot about what to do next at a national level.
Right, which I think is part of the reason this is such a priority for so many states right now.
and you heard him say it. It's the internet.
Yep.
So I mean, it's difficult.
Tough to
It is.
regulate.
Thank you, Kirsten.
Yeah.
Thanks.